Wicking Vicar is known for making high-quality, comfortable clerical shirts that make great gifts for pastors. But did you know Wicking Vicar also has great gifts for your little Lutherans? Just in time for Advent, you can get a wooden Advent wreath playset to help kids learn about Christ's incarnation. You can also pick up a wooden baptismal candle playset to celebrate your kid's baptismal birthday and teach them to sing, "God's own child, I gladly say it, I am baptized into Christ." Visit wickingvicar.com to see these gifts. That's wickingvicar.com. Listening to the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast. I'm Sarah.
I'm Erin.
I'm Bree.
And I'm Rachel.
Today is, I'm so excited for today, guys. It is an unexpected Iron Ladle.
Unexpected.
And it's going to be amazing.
I love it. I love it already.
I am I don't think I've looked forward to an episode like this hard in a long time.
Wow. Wow.
Also because I made my thing like 4 days ago. So the anticipation has been high.
Yes.
I won't ruin it. Erin, what are we doing today?
Today, our challenge was what to do with leftover Halloween candy.
Yes.
Now, before we get started, I just want to acknowledge that we are attempting to find a solution to a non-existent problem. Okay?
It's true.
There isn't really a problem of leftover Halloween candy. I have never experienced this. Like you eat the candy like this. There's no problem here. So, I mean, but that's fine. I'm just acknowledging that we created a problem that didn't exist and now we're going to fix it.
You know what? You're right. Like, how many blog posts have you read from moms that are like, I got to offload all this candy. What am I possibly going to do about it?
Yeah. I would agree with you if we lived in a world where bottle caps did not exist.
See, I think Rachel understood the assignment, I feel like.
Because some candies will never be left over, but there's always something at the bottom of the bag that is there until it is nasty. I know this because some of that stuff gets put in care packages and sent to military chaplains to distribute. And some of it then finds its way back home again.
Can I
a little bit past its expiration date. Yes.
I don't know if you can answer this or not, or if it's going to make anyone feel like self-critical. What's the number one donated Halloween candy thing in your estimation left over? Pixie sticks?
I will tell you, and it's not something that is usually left over in our house, so it surprised me. It is really old Jolly Ranchers. The kind that stick to the wrapper when they come out.
Yes.
So we're very happy to help people dispose of those.
Super sticky Jolly Ranchers. Okay.
So yeah, they're like trying to turn slowly into taffy, over time.
Was I one of the weird kids that would eat all of the gross candy first and I saved all the best stuff for last? Because that's definitely how I used to eat my
You obviously had more impulse control than me.
Traded all the low value candy to my younger siblings for smaller quantities of high value candy.
Strategic.
The quantity making them forget how low the quality was.
But see, I was the younger sister.
I know.
As we will find later, there is a child to eat nearly every unwanted Halloween candy.
That is also true. There's not a lot anyway, this is why I think this is a great and a fun experience for us. But yeah, ultimately, we're going to just have fun. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To be clear.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So
excited.
How do we want to go around and discuss, is anyone super excited to go first?
I think anyone who didn't have a major kitchen disaster should go earlier on in the episode.
Who didn't have a major kitchen disaster?
Which would be me.
I
I mean, I had a major disaster, but it wasn't a kitchen disaster. So
Okay.
I would actually request going second or third because it's kind of a boring oddball. I started out as like an oddball unique. And then it just ended up being stupid.
Okay. In order of low drama.
I want Sarah to go first because I feel like Sarah always on these, she's always coming in at the end with, okay, now here's the healthy alternative.
Here's the
that
sad
you can all
story.
exactly. At the time. So I want Sarah to go first.
Yes.
She also had the least drama, it seems like. Her recipe seems to have come off without any major hitches. And so I want to hear that story.
I thought you burned your kitchen down or something.
I did.
Didn't you?
Never mind. I still want Sarah to go first.
Yes.
And I brought them with me.
Talk about ASMR.
This might be the first time I've actually brought something to the studio for you guys to eat. I think
so.
It's a milestone. I wish I was there because I've seen pictures of these. So tell us about them.
Send you the smell vision. Here, guys.
Yay.
Have my sweets.
Ooh.
Right? Okay, so here's the story.
We got it. Now we're going to taste.
This is a generally a sad thing for me with all of the food episodes because I can't eat the stuff. And I also can't eat literally any Halloween candy. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I started having this crisis of confidence in everything. And then I was like, wait, I'll just make something for my husband because that'll be fun. So I asked him what candy he wanted. And he was like, you can have more than one too. I brought enough for each of you to have 3.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's my turn to be sad.
I'm sorry. He wanted Snicker salad. And I was like, that's cool, but I want to do candy corn because candy corn is my absolute favorite fall Halloween candy. And I know it's pretty much a love-or-hate relationship with people in candy corn, but I have...
This doesn't taste anything like candy corn. I don't understand.
So I will regularly eat myself sick on bags of candy corn before I couldn't eat it anymore. It was bad. I was addicted to it probably because it's just pure sugar. So he was like, yeah, sure, let's do candy corn. So I was reading him a few recipes and we ended up landing on the first one that I found that looked really simple. It's from the Spruce Eats. It's candy corn peanut butter bars. I was like, this looks easy enough. Can't really mess this up, right? So the recipe calls for a microwave, which we do not have. And if I were thinking ahead, I would have looked at how to melt candy corn on a stovetop because it is a thing. But I didn't do that. I was just like, it'll be fine. We'll just melt it on the stovetop. No big deal. So we tried the double boiler because whenever I think of melting things, I'm like, oh, you just use a double boiler because then you don't burn it, right? Yeah, that didn't work. Candy corn actually needs higher heat to So we put it in the double boiler and it was not melting at all. So we took the top of the double boiler off, put it on directly on the heat, which you're not supposed to do, I don't think. At least on our double boiler, the top pot is
very thin.
It's not meant for direct heat. So we put the lid on, turned around. I don't know what we were doing. No. And the whole pot is full of smoke. We're like,
that's horrifying.
Wow. So I opened the lid up and I was like, "Oh, that smells terrible." Turning all the fans on, and my husband at the same time is trying to salvage the top part. Thankfully, it only burned directly on the bottom, so it was mostly fine. Okay. So we're like, "What are we gonna do?" So we got another pan out and we moved it into another pan, and then my smart husband Googled how to melt candy corn. It's like, oh, that's
why didn't we do that 10 minutes ago?
That's a smart idea. So he's like, oh yeah, it needs medium hot heat. And I was like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. So we turned the heat up a bunch. And then it started melting properly. At this point, he had already put his peanut butter in, and he chose to use the really nice, was it Vandalia? Is that what it is? Peanut butter? Valencia. Not Vandalia. That's in Illinois. Valencia peanut butter. And a lot of times for the recipes like this, you're supposed to use the really cheap, crappy peanut butter because it actually works better to melt and hold form and stuff. But he wanted the nice peanut butter. So then it started getting really dry and crumbly. And he's like, well, this isn't going to work. It's not going to stick together. So he got coconut oil out.
That's what I tasted.
Coconuts.
Because that's solid at room temperature, or it's solid when it gets cold, right? So he added some coconut oil to it as well. And then it was okay. We had no more problems. So it finally all melted into this gob of brown Play-Doh kind of. That was the weird consistency. and we were smelling it and we're like, why does this smell like Butterfinger?
Mm-hmm.
This is
It does.
right? It smells like Butterfinger. I was like, I wonder how you make homemade Butterfingers. So I Googled how to make homemade Butterfingers. Lo and behold, it is exactly this recipe.
Oh.
It is literally candy corn, peanut butter, and chocolate. And I was like, we just made a meta Halloween candy.
I've seen some recipes that throw in cornflakes for an added crunch.
Oh.
That's what you're missing. So like real store-bought Butterfinger is hard candy that's melted into the peanut butter. And candy corn obviously isn't hard, but it's the same flavor.
I see.
Right. So I had this like moment of like, I don't know, existential whatever of like, we just made a Halloween candy on Halloween
like
candy.
Somehow it tastes like more natural, or maybe that's my own psyche.
So
that's the real peanut butter that
and the coconut oil.
The coconut oil, and we used really good like Dutch chocolate, really good chocolate. Then that's what my husband said too. And when he tasted them, he's like, "Yeah, it's Butterfinger, but it's better." I was like, "Well, we can make these again." So
Butterfinger, ha!
LOL. So after that, it was just we fridged. Well, you have to cut. So back up. You smush the like brown peanut butter Play-Doh into a pan, and then you score it while it's still warm. Because when you put it into the fridge, it gets really solid. Yeah, and then it's really fun because when you pull it out, you actually have to crack it apart. That was probably the best part for me. It was very satisfying. And then you just melt the chocolate, which you do use a double boiler for, otherwise you'll burn the chocolate. And then you just like dip them in the chocolate and then put them back into the fridge, and then you're done. Like it's actually really easy.
So you were able to clean your double boiler. It wasn't.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't charred.
Thankfully,
ruined.
we did not destroy it.
Okay, that's good.
We caught it early enough that.
Yeah.
So how long out of the fridge were those?
The ones that you guys just ate have been out of the fridge since this morning.
Okay,
so they're probably not quite as crunchy.
They were a little. Well, I don't know. Like that one had some give.
Yeah.
Okay, had some give to it.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I was going to put them in the fridge when I got here, and I forgot.
Oh, I almost broke a tooth, but I think I was expecting it was.
So I did not feel they were
eater beware
enough to break a tooth.
No, definitely not. Fair. But it's surprising. It was surprising, I think, is what it was.
Yeah. So Luther decided that he wanted these in bite-sized pieces. The recipe calls to make them in like bars. But he's like, no, I want them in chunks.
Butterfinger BBs.
Yeah. So these are like inch by inch ish squares. So we went through a lot more.
Size,
like
the
snack
individually
size
wrapped ones
that they give out at
those.
Right? I know.
Fun
sized. Yeah. So we went through a lot of chocolate because there's a lot more surface
nothing
area.
wrong with that. Whoop.
So moral of the story, it's a super easy way to make a new Halloween candy out of your unwanted Halloween candy.
Meta.
But it is really easy and it's very good, as I've heard. So
yeah, I'm going to credit I'm sure she didn't invent it, but I heard it from her first. My colleague, Katie Irvin, and declare that this is a Halloween.
Nice. Yes. And I retract my earlier statement about your recipe being no drama. I completely forgot the bit where you burn your kitchen down.
For full credit then.
That's my declaration. She definitely came up with that.
Yeah.
That sounds like something
and
she
this,
would.
So this all started after I decided to use candy corn, and then we decided we didn't want to use the Brox because it has artificial coloring in it, which for some people might be fine and that's cool, but in our household we generally try to stay away from that stuff. And so we had this like day-long saga of trying to find the more natural
There's an
Halloween.
organic candy corn shortage right now.
There is literally an organic. There's an organic candy corn shortage right now, and I did not know this until we tried to find it. And
all the things.
So you did not then decide to try and figure out how to make candy corn yourself.
No. There are recipes.
You thought about it, didn't you?
I did think about it.
She did.
And if I had more time to find the colorings,
she would have done it.
I would have done it.
She would have done it.
But we figured out we had to do this on Sunday. And so we had to shop on Monday and I had to make them on Tuesday. Otherwise I wasn't going to have them. So, yeah, maybe next year. But
that was delicious.
Yeah.
That was a win.
It was. Absolutely.
Do you want another one?
Yeah.
Here,
I'll take
have
more.
more.
But not right now. So they're
I'm
delicious, but also a little
for
rich.
a friend. They are.
So yeah,
I mean that's a lot of fat in that.
Yeah.
fat.
Mhm.
Yummy fats.
Chocolate and peanut butter fat.
Yeah.
Noms.
Some of the best kind.
Noms.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go next.
Okay, what do you
Okay,
have?
so I think that I'm sort of the resident hippie of the group. I think we've all sort of embraced
It's not
that.
exactly
and
how I
so
would think of you, but okay.
anyway, so I'm also kind of an oddball. Like, I don't know if you remember our
Yeah.
Diet of Worms episode
Yes.
that I
Yes.
sour gummy pollution
Yes.
into the
chemical warfare.
It was basically, yes, it was chemical warfare. And so I don't think I introduced a new pollution into the ecosystem, but this was kind of a fail. So back to
Hollow fail.
Hollow fail. Yes. Loss. Okay, so one of the things that people don't think about sometimes when getting rid of their Halloween candy is how many wrappers come with it. And so what I did was I made a craft out of
Yes.
candy wrappers.
I love it.
I basically I bought one of those giant bags of assorted candies and took the wrappers and Mod Podged down. As you can see, some of the Mod Podge hasn't even dried yet, and it's been 3 days.
Whoa.
And so I took a composition notebook, made a little candy wrapper collage on the front,
I love it.
and
Yeah, I'm
not
suddenly-
impressive at all.
I'm suddenly having flashbacks of like when you had to make the covers for
Yes.
your textbooks and you the grocery bags.
Yep.
But now I'm like imagining if I had been cool enough to have created a textbook cover from candy wrappers.
I will never do this again, and I'm not going to tell anyone how I did it because it's awful, and I don't wish it upon anyone.
And yet, at the same time, there is wisdom in this craft because you, Bree, have acknowledged that in many households, the only thing left over after Halloween is going to be the candy wrappers, and wisely accommodated the assignment
True.
Yep.
True.
to
I do-
account for that.
I'll say this is if I were to do this again, I would do a couple of things. First of all, I would not use the candy wrappers that I used. So I bought an assorted bag of what looks to be Kit Kats, Hershey chocolate. But can I say these brands on there?
Sure.
Okay.
This is not an advertisement.
It's not an advertisement. In fact, don't buy these if you want to make a collage on a composition notebook made out of candy wrappers.
That's libel.
Slander.
Something.
But anyway,
It's an honest review.
it's an honest review. So it was one of those like multi candy bar. It's Reese's and Kit Kats and Almond Joy. There it is.
Yeah.
The good stuff, all of it.
When you opened out the entire wrapper, it like curled and it was kind of flimsy. And so I think I would use maybe a different candy wrapper, maybe like a Starburst situation.
Or that wax paper.
Yeah, something that will easily become a square. Because I think the difficult thing was there were too many like wrinkles and folds and corners the way that they opened that it ended up being kind of a mess. And I also would not use Mod Podge for this. I would maybe use like an Elmer's glue situation. Maybe
Is Mod Podge an actual? It's a substance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
Okay.
And so it didn't really stick down overnight. It dried, but it didn't stick down overnight. So I ended up taking packing tape and like sort of laminating the front side where the collage is.
I wonder, and at the risk of ruining a perfectly good household appliance, which is something I do, if you could make it better by running a cool iron over any pieces of candy wrapper you intended to use to flatten them out before you Mod Podge them. And again, the waxy paper ones would probably work better than the highly plastic ones.
Yeah.
Sandwich it between two pieces of paper.
Oh,
and then use your iron. Then you won't.
Yeah.
Destroy your iron.
Risk the iron.
Wax paper.
I actually think this is a pretty cool idea because, kids especially are always looking to personalize things. And oftentimes one of the things that might be unique about a child is I like a candy that nobody else likes. And so make that your sort of icon mascot look on your notebooks or water bottles or what. Well, no, don't Mod Podge a water bottle. That could get weird. but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
I have some kids who might enjoy a Reese's notebook and others that might enjoy a Charms blow pop notebook. I don't know. There's
those
lots.
would be fun.
Yeah.
I had an idea that you could cut up your wrappers into like little mosaic pieces and then make a collage.
Yes.
Like actually make something artsy.
Oh, an image.
Yeah. With little bits and pieces of the different colors.
Or
blow pop wrappers would work amazing for that because they're all those different colors.
you take the wrapper and crumble it up into like little balls
And you make
then
it 3D?
yes.
Oh, nice. I mean, all
That's cool.
all this colored paper could be used for something, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I've got a ton of it downstairs right now that is just going to go in the trash before supper because I need the table space back. So, yeah.
Starburst wrapper chains. You ever see those? The little necklaces and the bracelets and the do that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, think outside the box if you want or don't. It's fine. I just whatever.
I like it.
Thank
well
you.
done.
Super
Thanks.
creative.
Well done. Mm-hmm.
That's me.
I appreciate it.
Didn't smell bad for what it's worth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And you didn't have a kitchen
I've
disaster.
created worse in this little world.
Well, since we mentioned the household appliances, I should probably go next so that we don't leave people hanging on that teaser for too long. So I was thinking to myself, if we have Halloween candy left over, first I wanted to find out what Halloween candy would be left over. Now, I don't know when this episode is dropping, but we are recording it before Halloween. So all of this had to be done theoretically. So I polled my children. I said, what is the Halloween candy that is going to be left over at the end of the day? Because we should build our recipe around that.
Okay.
And so my first child said, well, Snickers and my youngest, Snickers and candy corn. And I said, well, that's not going to work because those are my two favorites and those are not going to survive the mom tax. So then we started going down the list of children and each one would tell me what the next one said her least favorite were Reese's cups. At which point two other kids said, oh, I'll take those.
Right.
And we went through Twizzlers. Oh, I like those. Tootsie Rolls. I thought we'd have a winner with Tootsie Rolls. I love Tootsie Rolls.
Right. I loved it too.
They were dropping like flies. We ended up with we really scraped bottom to come up with a list of candy that nobody thought that they would enjoy. So bottle caps, as aforementioned. The stick from a Fun Dip packet, not the actual sugar, but the stick that you dip it in. That was a leftover candy scenario. Apparently, you can open one side and just drink the sugar, and then leave the stick untouched.
Yeah, I want to circle back. What is a bottle cap?
It's like a sweet tart with less flavor, I think.
Oh, okay.
I feel like they're a little fizzier.
Yeah, a little fizzier.
My brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we also had banana flavored Laffy-Taffy.
Yes.
I love the banana Laffy-Taffy.
You can have mine.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, so there were a few that made the list. So I went out to go shop for these. Apparently, I could not find any bottle caps at our local establishment because apparently people have gotten the memo that that kind of candy is going to get you toilet papered or something because it was all chocolate. And I was like, this is useless for me right now. So I got a large bag of the cheapest possible, per unit. This was a great deal.
Jawbusters.
Jawbusters. Not even jawbreakers. Jawbusters. And we pulled out some of the candies that we thought would likely be still around at the end of Halloween. And we set them aside for the recipe we were going to make. Now, I'm imagining this scenario that this is the candy that is still there after Thanksgiving. All right? It's found in the bottom of the buckets when I go to put them away for the year. I fish them out from under the beds along with all the other candy wrappers. I don't know why they take their candy to their rooms, but whatever. Fish out the buckets, and I'm finding these at the bottom. It's after Thanksgiving. What are you going to do with candy after Thanksgiving? Gingerbread house.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, we love making gingerbread houses during the Advent Christmas season. And we normally just go out and buy one of the kits that includes, your cardboard gingerbread and your very icing concrete stuff. And then candy that for my money is actually worse than the worst leftover Halloween candy. The candy in the cheap gingerbread house kits is pretty awful. But, you're buying the experience, not the food, even if we do somehow still eat all the food. But I've never made a gingerbread house from scratch. And I thought, this is the time. I need to do this.
Yes, okay.
So I found a recipe from Simply Recipes entitled How to Make a Gingerbread House. I thought this will work.
Perfect.
Yes. So if you want to do this from scratch, I highly recommend it, by the way. At least making the gingerbread from scratch, because it is so much better and it's really not all that hard. But make sure you do it at least a day before you're going to assemble the house so that you have time for it to sort of like harden up. Otherwise, it might be kind of saggy. So this is a recipe where it's just your basic dry ingredients, wet ingredients, cookie dough recipe, except with a lot more flour and not very much baking powder, and flavored with ginger and cinnamon and cloves. Next time will probably add more ginger because I really love ginger, and maybe a little dash of nutmeg. I contemplated adding it this time and I didn't, but on reflection, I wish I had, because this is a recipe that uses a lot of molasses, and molasses tends to take over if you don't, beat it down with extra spice.
It's true.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had my oldest daughter design us a gingerbread house template. She just imagined the pieces of pretty much a square cottage with a couple of roof pieces, and she cut them out of paper. And so we rolled out our dough to a 1/4-inch thickness, and we put the template on top, and I cut it out with a pizza roller, which they said to use a sharp knife, but I'm like, pizza cutter. This is even better.
Yeah.
Worked great. Baked up as promised. Didn't even break a piece coming off the cookie sheet.
Nice.
And, before I also scored in some doors and windows with a butter knife.
Yep.
So far, so fantastic. We even had leftover dough when we were finished with all of our house pieces. So we rolled it back out and pulled out our cookie cutters, and we had gingerbread man and gingerbread goats and a few
goats. Right.
gingerbread crosses, mostly because that was the cookie cutter I had that would fit in between the gingerbread goats and the gingerbread men. And we've been eating gingerbread for the last 24 hours, and it's really good, especially with whipped cream.
Awesome.
Put gingerbread cookie with whipped cream. They just go really well together.
Nice.
And then, so we've got our pieces. They have cured overnight. And today I'm going to make up the royal icing. I don't know if you've ever used royal icing.
No.
I have once before, and I did it from a powdered mix. It was about 10 years ago. We were making gingerbread houses at church, not with from scratch gingerbread from kids, but we knew we were going to need some more frosting because they never put in enough. Not when you're working with preschoolers. So I was making frosting, and I burned out the motor in my hand mixer because the stuff gets kind of thick. And so I went for years without a hand mixer, and I finally bought one about 3 months ago.
And you just killed it.
I did.
Oh no!
From scratch this time. I wasn't using a powdered mix. So royal icing is a really simple recipe, and its physical properties are amazing. It is egg whites and powdered sugar. That's it.
Wow.
Whip to stiff peaks. And if you're me, you whip to extra stiff peaks and you burn out your mixer.
Yes.
So whip to just barely stiff peaks. Don't second guess yourself. As soon as it starts looking stiff, spare your mixer and pull it out. Yeah. So I need a new mixer, but I did get 2 batches of royal icing out before it quit. And so my girls each got a baggie to use to pipe around, and we put our gingerbread house together, and it started, of course, to fall apart because, the physics involved, but we propped everything up with glasses until the icing could set. And they covered it all over with jawbusters, mostly. A lot of jawbusters. Few sour gummy worms. And we made both a patio and a walkway out of banana Laffy-Taffys.
How great.
A few non-laters for window panes on the side. Okay. And we came out with a passable gingerbread house. So It was a lot of fun, a craft project on a Friday morning. And so I learned some things from this. That is, gingerbread is worth making from scratch. Do not buy factory-made gingerbread. It's not that hard to make at home, and you can do it. I can imagine designing all manner of architectural masterpieces with homemade. I mean, why settle for a gingerbread cottage? Next time we're going to do a castle, because why not? You could, sky's the limit. Your imagination, whatever. Right. And it's really super fun to work with too. You can just cut it out and so fun. But I do think I will Google and see if I can't just order some royal icing that is pre-made, so that I do not risk damaging any more precious and long-awaited to me kitchen appliances.
You have to be able to buy that pre-made.
Yeah. All right, Googling right now.
I'm imagining a homeschool semester in architecture ending with a grand finale project of building your own gingerbread masterpiece.
Sounds amazing. Okay. Yeah. Yes, you can. It's not as cheap as I would like it to be.
We talking?
I mean, because egg whites and powdered sugar are really, really cost effective. I like that ingredient list. However, when you factor in the cost of a $30 mixer every time you make the recipe, I think maybe I'd be saving money. Probably, yes. Anyway, it was fun. We had fun.
That sounds great.
And it's very colorful.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
So my sort of carryover thread in this conversation also involves a mixer.
A hand mixer.
So, I also, years ago, I have no recollection when I'm guessing my mixer either died or did I loan it to someone and never got it back? I have no recollection, but I forgot that this was the case. And so then last night I was ransacking my house. I'm like, where would I have kept it? And I looked all the places where it should have been and it wasn't there. I'm like, I probably had decided that I would just wait until I needed one and then I would buy one. I clearly don't use it often. So then I sent out, the sort of frantic text to the people that live close to you, like, hi, got a baking emergency. Anyone have a mixer that I could use? Like, not like a big KitchenAid thing, but just, a mixer. Yeah. And I did hear back from one of my friends and she was like, all we have is a child-sized mixer. Okay, I don't think that's going to work. And then another one is like, well, you could come to the church and use the industrial strength one that we have in the basement. And I'm like, well, that also seems more than extreme. I need. And I'm like, Goldilocks problem here. And so I decided, okay, well, the only thing for it is to just go buy a mixer because this was last night and I needed.
I found the message you put on a chat thread. It says here, disaster. I forgot that I don't have a mixer. Brienne, do you have a mixer I can borrow tonight? Even now.
And I didn't get the message until like 25 minutes later. And even when I saw it, like I was not in a position to say, like, I was like, I can't even respond to this right now. Like I saw it, but all the best, friend. Like,
see, this shows a level of commitment to your recipe that is truly admirable. I would have looked at it and gone, well, that's that. I guess I'll do something else. Rice Krispie treats it is.
Well, but the thing is, like baking sweet items, you sort of need a mixer for most things. And yeah, I did not have any ideas. I indeed was committed. I was going to make these. I made cookies.
Yes.
So I decided on that I wanted to use my leftover Halloween candy to make something that would be like a sweet savory combo, because you guys know I enjoy that. Mm-hmm. So I did a little looking and I found a cookie recipe. Longtime listeners will be shocked to learn it's not from the Smitten Kitchen.
I was going to
ask. This one, I got the recipe from cookiesandcups.com.
I love that one.
I
Love it.
So that was the recipe that I chose. They call it late night snack cookies. Today, I advertise them as Friday afternoon snack cookies to all my coworkers to try and move along this large batch of cookies that I now have, and was able to indeed move quite a lot.
There was
this
a
afternoon.
large crowd over at your cubicle over there.
And if you guys would like to take any for your own households to enjoy, you'd be very welcome to do that.
Thanks.
My brother's staying with me right now, so
fantastic.
I have two grown men in my house who will gladly eat cookies.
Excellent. We can bring home some late night snack cookies for him.
For late night snacking.
Yes. So I did make one change to the recipe. So it called for Snickers was the candy that was used in it. And I thought I would like a little more variety than that. So I chose to use 2 parts Snickers and 1 part Reese's Pieces.
Oh.
Plus, I thought it would add a little nice color. That was the main change that I made to it. But it's basically just a simple cookie dough base. And then you add chopped Snickers, but they have to be frozen. And I guess that helps them not melt immediately in the oven. And then you also have to mix in whole potato chips.
Whoa.
Which that was the most complicated part, honestly, was getting those potato chips mixed in. So, but I succeeded. And these cookies, as the recipe is written, I don't know how reliable this recipe site is. This is the only one I've ever cooked from them, so I can't really say. But they say this recipe was supposed to make 24 large cookies. Now, I ended up making 36 what I think are pretty large cookies, and I ended up throwing some batter away because I was tired of baking. And so I was like, enough of this, I'm done.
Wow. That has never happened in my life.
I cooked there were three rounds in the oven, and I'm like, I'm done, I'm finished, I'm exhausted. And so I just threw it away.
It's all right. It's okay.
So
trying so hard not to judge you right now, Erin.
The recipe says you were supposed to drop them by heaping tablespoons, but let me tell you, these were large. These were at least a quarter cup worth of dough that I would put down on each cookie. So I don't know. Again, I feel like this makes me somewhat skeptical about this website and how reliable their recipes really are. But that said, the finished cookie is very delicious. I enjoy it. So there is that. You can see some nice chunks of potato chip in there.
It smells like potato chips.
Sounds amazing, actually.
Yeah. And all the coworkers that came over and tried it thought they were, some of them were a little wary when they learned there were potato chips in there, but they did all still try them and determined they were delicious.
I don't know how many times
I freaked out by that.
Kevin Armbrust.
Sorry.
Thought it was delicious, but he was a bit taken aback.
Now, question about these Snickers. Did you cut them before you froze them or cut them after you froze them?
I cut them before I froze them.
I was going to say.
I was like, yeah, that seemed...
Because I'm very much contemplating buying an extra bag of Snickers and hiding them until after Halloween, just so I can retrace your steps here, because these sound really, really tasty.
Yeah, they turned out super delicious. I have already been eating them this afternoon. So you would like to taste one now, you're welcome to, but you don't have to feel like you have to
I do feel like I
do
have
this.
to, and I don't care.
Eat it.
So which one though? Do I want?
I know. I brought a little assortment.
The spread. I think the spread. The spread.
It was actually, that was another thing that I didn't quite know what to make. Again, I'm not a big baker, so some of this is probably due to my own just not understanding the mechanics of baking. But I was surprised that some of the cookies on the baking sheet really spread out quite a ways and others did not, in the same batch. And I don't know if it was just the ratio of ingredients that happened to be in that particular cookie made it more sprawling than others. I don't know.
Well, it can. I mean, it can depend on whether all the butter was mixed in like really, really well. Because if there's a bit of butter, more concentrated butter, it will spread more.
Yeah.
And then if it's depending on what temperature it is when you go in, put it on, and how hot the.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of variables.
How reliable my oven is, and there's a lot of factors. And also, like I said, I'm just not a regular baker. I'm more of a cooker.
These are flipping delicious.
Are they?
If you didn't already,
good.
Yes.
Good. I'm glad.
Once again, the jealousy is.
We need to
not to covet your treats over there.
We need to pack a care package for Rachel and treats.
With all the other candy we don't want.
Not going to lie, Luther was like, should we overnight these to Rachel so she can have them for Friday?
Thank you, Luther.
That's so
You're so good. I'm so full of gingerbread right now, though. I probably shouldn't.
Yeah. I will say that I got a bag of the mini Snickers for this, and that ended up being almost, once I ate one, that ended up being the perfect amount for my 2 parts Snickers and then the 1 part Reese's Pieces. So if you were going to replicate it, then just, regular, so it's not like a big bag.
Buy a regular size bag of Snickers, eat one to make sure it's not poisoned, and then put the rest in the recipe. Gotcha.
Right. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm tracking.
You put some pretzels up in here.
And I did think about that, and I wouldn't be mad about having even just a little more saltiness in it.
That would be so good.
But I thought good. I'll stick to the recipe most of the ways. For the first,
or even like a salty toffee situation.
So you said it included Reese's Pieces.
I added the Reese's
I'm
Pieces.
wondering if you could you do a mix of chopped Snickers and chopped or crumbled Reese's cups?
I think you probably could.
Or Heath Bar.
So some of those I think might have Reese's cups in particular. I think then you would need to freeze them again.
Yes, absolutely.
So the Reese's Pieces held their form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also thought that what might be, I don't know if do they make dark chocolate Snickers?
Yes.
So that might be delicious to have a little strong, because it's already a sweet cookie base. So if you had more of a dark chocolate instead of the regular milk chocolate, or again, if you cut down a little bit on the Snickers and then mixed in some dark chocolate chips or something like that, might again sort of balance the sweetness level just a bit.
That's
but
so good.
All in all, I mean, it was great. A Halloween.
Halloween.
That's right. Come hack your broken hand mixer.
Yeah. And now I do have a hand mixer again. So I'm ready.
I do not. So there we go.
Oh.
But you know what? It's still a win. As a homeschool family, I just look at every broken appliance as the opportunity to give a kid a screwdriver and say, learn something.
That's right.
That's right. Wire shop or whatever.
So I mean, the mixers, they don't make them that great. I think even the expensive ones are not that great. My mom was hoping to get a new one a while back, and eventually she was like, this has got no power. And she went back to her one from the 70s that she got as a wedding present.
Yep. They don't make stuff well anymore. That is for sure.
They just don't.
My mom still has her.
So
I remember using that electric one, probably also from the 70s.
Yeah, it's got horses.
Yeah, it does.
It's got torque. They don't make them with torque anymore.
Yeah, mine even had a turbo setting, but that didn't help it when the royal icing came. Got a little stiff.
Turdo.
Turdo setting, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
thought it was hilarious. One of the people in the group, one of the ladies in the Facebook group, was making a comment about something related to Halloween, and she called it diabetical.
Oh,
was that Jan?
That was Jan. I was like, oh, that's a great
diabetical.
That's a great term.
Those are definitely diabetical. Yes. I'm not going to lie.
They are. They are.
If you don't hear from me an hour after I leave, call me because I might be in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah.
No.
Man.
worth it.
I hope so.
End.
Well,
Worth it in the end.
I guess, dear listeners, if you happen to have leftover Halloween candy, we've got some ideas for you.
Yes, it's true.
We do.
Mhm.
Or just buy it on sale after Halloween and then.
Yes. Think of how many composition notebooks you could collage. Let's think of it. Just think of it.
Ladies, we would love to hear if you make your own recipes with your leftover Halloween candy, or try one of these recipes, or make some composition books. We'd love to know about it in the Lutheran Ladies Lounge on Facebook, or we will be sharing the photos of all of these treats also in the Facebook group and on our Instagram page over the next week. So be sure to check out both of those. You can follow us on Instagram at Lutheran Ladies Lounge. We share some extra special content there as well. So follow both of those things. You can also sign up for our monthly e-newsletter if you're not on social, or if you just want to get Lutheran Ladies Lounge in your inbox, you can do that as well. Find out how to do that in the show notes for this episode, or send us an email, lutheranladies@kfuo.org. You can find all of our podcasts at kfuo.org/Lutheran Ladies Lounge, or on your favorite podcasting app, or on the KFUO radio app. You're listening to the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast. I'm Sarah.
I'm Erin.
I'm Bree.
And are you okay, Bree?
Stretch. I'm going into
good.
Cookie
I'm Rachel.
Whew. Good times.
KFUO Radio and the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast are underwritten in part by Wicking Vicar. Visit them online at wickingvicar.com. Views and opinions expressed on the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast may not represent the official position of the management or ownership of KFUO Radio, the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. The Lutheran Ladies Lounge is produced by KFUO Radio and available at kfuo.org or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a review for us too. If you love the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast, consider financially supporting our producer, KFUO Radio, so we can keep doing what we do. Find out how at kfuo.org/give.